They underestimated your silence. They mistook your calm for cluelessness, your stillness for ignorance, your lack of defense for defeat. You let them think they were outsmarting you. You let them build confidence on the illusion of superiority. But all along you were aware, watching patterns, memorizing motives, decoding the unsaid. You knew their tone before they spoke, their excuses before they formed, their betrayals before they happened. You allowed them to expose themselves piece by piece, pretending not to notice as they revealed their true nature. That restraint was your intelligence in motion. You didn't need to announce that you knew. You let the clock speak for you. Time always exposes the fool who confuses subtlety for stupidity. And now they sit in silence, humiliated by the realization that you were never naive. You were simply strategic enough to let them believe their own performance until it collapsed under its own arrogance. The sting of being seen without knowing it cuts deeper than any insult. They mocked your patience because they couldn't comprehend it. To them, wisdom always looks passive until it moves. They wanted you reactive, emotional, predictable. But you played invisible. You studied from the shadows while they performed in the light. You saw through their charm, their contradictions, their masks of morality. You noticed every shift in tone, every flicker of guilt behind their words. You learned early that people confess most through what they avoid. And now, as truth stands bare, they realize how much you absorbed while pretending to listen. Their confidence rotted under your quiet observation. They thought you were behind them, but you were 10 steps ahead, tracking their every illusion with surgical precision. That's what makes them feel foolish now. Not that they lied, but that you let them. They weren't deceiving you. They were auditioning for their own exposure. You never needed to confront them. They destroyed themselves through consistency. You didn't interrupt their stories. You watched how they recycled them. You didn't need to shout. You let repetition betray them. People reveal truth through patterns more than words. And you, patient as gravity, allowed their habits to speak louder than their mouths. You gave them enough rope to tie their reputation in knots. The day they realized you knew the entire time was the day they lost the illusion of superiority. Manipulators survive on perception. The moment you stop reacting, they lose oxygen. You mastered the art of quiet warfare. You turned understanding into armor. They now see how every joke, every smug assumption, every backhanded move only exposed them further. They thought they were playing you, but you were testing them. And when they failed, you didn't flinch. You simply closed the book and left them buried under the weight of their own pretense. They will call it coincidence, timing, intuition, anything but your intelligence. Admitting you always knew would crush their ego completely. So they hide behind excuses, rewriting the past to make it seem less embarrassing. But you can see it in their body language. The hesitation, the forced calm, the eyes that won't meet yours anymore. You've entered their thoughts like a haunting. Every conversation replays in their head now. Every moment they underestimated you. They remember your half smiles and realize they weren't clueless. They were controlled. You never argued because you didn't need to. You didn't prove them wrong. You let them do it themselves. And now they hate that their undoing wasn't your words, but their own reflection. The quiet ones terrify the pretentious because they expose truth without trying. You didn't just see through them. You let them see through themselves. That's why their shame burns. It's not that you won, it's that they lost to their own facade. They tried to measure your intelligence by your response time, forgetting that wisdom doesn't compete with noise. They thought fast talk meant depth and mockery meant wit, but your silence made their noise echo louder, revealing how hollow it really was. You played chess while they were busy drawing attention on a checkers board. They thought control came from dominating conversation, but you understood it came from knowing what not to say. You were never proving, you were predicting. And each time they underestimated you, you gathered more clarity. Now the tables have turned, and their own words stand as monuments of their short-sightedness. People who mistake quiet confidence for ignorance eventually find out that awareness always waits. You didn't rush to defend yourself because you knew something they didn't. Truth never demands validation. It reveals itself when arrogance runs out of lies. And they just ran out. What they feel now is the weight of exposure. There's no theatrical ending, no confrontation, just silence heavy with realization. They know that every move they made was under your gaze. Every deception, every manipulation, every condescending smirk. It all aged poorly in the light of your composure. You made no threats, yet your awareness became punishment enough. They can't erase the memory of being studied while believing they were in control. There's no antidote for that kind of humiliation. They will replay it for years, trying to find the moment they lost your respect. You didn't take revenge, you reclaimed dignity. You didn't strike back, you watched them implode. Because nothing dismantles arrogance like the slow realization that the person they dismissed was the one holding all the knowledge all along. You always sensed their intentions before they unfolded. You could feel when the tone shifted, when loyalty became performance, when curiosity turned into competition. You read people through their emotional residue, the contradictions between their words and their energy. That's what separated you from them. They played tactics, and you played intuition. And intuition beats tactics because it reads intent, not performance. You learned to listen between sentences, to decode pauses, to spot projection before it even formed. They never stood a chance against awareness that deep. You saw who they were trying to be and who they really were. And you didn't need to expose it. Life did that for you. Now they shrink in your presence, not because you said anything, but because you saw everything. That kind of knowing can't be undone. It lingers in their conscience like a silent verdict. The most powerful moment was when you stopped caring about their recognition. You no longer needed to prove what you knew. That's when your energy shifted completely. They felt it. The control they thought they had evaporated the second you detached from validation. You didn't need to win anymore. You had outgrown the game. You didn't need to correct their lies. Truth was already dismantling them in private. They now realized you were never the naive one. They were the fool trying to manipulate someone who saw too clearly. The power dynamic inverted quietly. You didn't conquer them. You let them collapse under their own arrogance. That's the ultimate checkmate, calm detachment, while chaos devours the pretenders. They once believed they were pulling strings. Now, they sit in silence, realizing the puppet never moved. You just let them believe you did. There's an unspoken poetry in watching pride dissolve into embarrassment. They used to look at you with mockery, but now their gaze carries caution. They know better than to underestimate you again. They whisper about how you changed, pretending the version they laughed at was naive. But you didn't change. You simply stopped pretending not to see. You no longer soften your intelligence to protect fragile egos. You learned that understanding people deeply means outgrowing them silently. And that's what you did. You let them discover their foolishness on their own. Their regret isn't about being wrong. It's about realizing how right you were while they mocked you. The irony burns quietly inside them. You don't need revenge when their memory keeps serving them reminders of every time they underestimated you. They had entire speeches prepared for you once. Long rehearsed lines filled with justification, blame, and twisted logic that made them feel powerful. They used to talk over you, around you, through you, always trying to dominate the air between you with noise. But when the truth finally surfaced, when their illusions cracked under the weight of time, they found nothing left to say. The silence didn't arrive with warning. It entered like consequence. Every lie they told lost its power once it was met with your calm. Every excuse died mid-sentence when you didn't bite. You didn't need to interrupt them. You just stood still, and they felt it, the shift in dynamic. They realized they were performing for someone who had already read the script. There's nothing to say when the mask is gone, no recovery when the stage lights burn out. Their greatest punishment wasn't exposure. It was your silence swallowing their performance whole. They kept searching for words, hoping to rebuild what had already collapsed. But truth has a way of removing vocabulary from the guilty. You didn't yell, didn't demand, didn't explain. You simply watched them stumble through the debris of their own lies. They tried to recreate the same emotional hold they once had, but it no longer worked. Every phrase they used sounded empty, every apology rehearsed. They could feel your detachment like gravity, heavy, unmovable, final. The conversation they wanted depended on your reaction, and you gave them none. That absence stripped them of power. They used to find their confidence in your confusion, but now you were unreadable. You weren't seeking closure, you were closure. And in that moment, they discovered the most terrifying truth of all. That silence is not absence. Silence is consequence. When you said nothing, it told them everything they needed to hear. You didn't plan their silence. It was a natural reaction to realization. People who live in lies lose language when faced with truth. They rely on distraction, performance, and guilt, not authenticity. Once you removed emotion from the equation, they had no material left. They looked for words, but the vocabulary of manipulation only works on those who still care. You had outgrown caring. That's what made your presence so unsettling. You weren't angry, you were done. That kind of peace makes dishonest people panic. They need chaos to maintain control, and you denied them that gift. You left them standing in the quiet they once mocked, forced to listen to the echoes of their own deceit. When truth arrives, it doesn't scream, it steals words, and the silence it leaves behind becomes a mirror they can't look away from. They found nothing left to say, because every word now exposes the very thing they tried to hide. The silence between you wasn't awkward, it was verdict. You didn't need to punish them, they punished themselves through awareness. You could see the shift in their body language. The slouched shoulders, the eyes that couldn't hold yours, the shallow breathing of someone realizing the performance is over. They tried to regain control through tone, but confidence cannot be faked in the presence of truth. You didn't interrupt, you didn't retaliate, you simply let the silence expand until it filled the room with consequence. That's when they felt the weight of what they'd done, not from what you said, but from what you withheld. Manipulators thrive on reactions because reactions validate them. When you stop reacting, their power dies. You didn't need revenge, you just stopped giving them energy. And in that vacuum, their entire character collapsed. They thought they could argue their way out of guilt, but guilt doesn't need debate, it needs silence. They wanted redemption, but not responsibility. That's why their words failed. You can't fix what you refuse to admit. They hoped charm would erase memory, that soft tones could undo betrayal, but forgiveness requires truth, and truth requires humility. Two currencies they never learned to earn. They were trying to sell sincerity to someone who had already stopped buying. So their words came out flat, mechanical, desperate. You saw through every attempt to manipulate guilt into reconciliation. And still, you said nothing. Because sometimes silence isn't forgiveness, it's acknowledgement that the lesson has ended. You no longer needed closure from them. You found it in detachment. Their sentences crumbled because your peace made their tactics irrelevant. You didn't reject them out of spite. You simply no longer needed what they were offering. And that realization struck them harder than any insult ever could. They found nothing left to say because you had already outgrown their language. The silence carried more truth than words ever could. They once used dialogue as a weapon, twisting communication into control. But the moment you stopped playing, they lost their script. There was no debate left to win, no misunderstanding left to exploit. You saw their intentions so clearly that conversation became unnecessary. They could feel it in your presence. The end had already happened. They just hadn't accepted it yet. And that's why they stuttered when they finally faced you. They weren't apologizing, they were trying to undo exposure. But exposure can't be reversed. You can't unsee what you've seen. The quiet between you wasn't emptiness. It was evidence. You no longer needed to explain who they were, and they no longer had the vocabulary to hide it. That's what silence does. It removes pretense, leaving only truth. And truth always outlasts words. Every manipulator eventually runs out of performance. Words are their currency, but truth bankrupts them. They thought they could talk their way through consequence, but you took away their only weapon, your attention. Without it, they had no audience, no applause, no feedback loop to fuel their illusion. You let their ego implode under its own weight. They mistook your restraint for weakness until they realized it was control. That's when the silence became unbearable. They started explaining things you never asked about, trying to fill the void with noise. But silence doesn't negotiate, It doesn't argue. It simply waits. And in that waiting, they faced the one thing they always avoided, themselves. That's why they found nothing left to say. Because deep down, they knew any new sentence would only prove your point. Their arrogance had finally met the end of its vocabulary. You remember the way they used to dominate conversation? How easily they could spin stories, twist facts, and redirect blame. It was impressive once. How effortlessly they manipulated attention. But now, stripped of illusion, fallible, ordinary. Their voice lost its rhythm. Their sentences lost their bite. Every lie had aged beyond repair. There was nothing left to defend, nothing left to disguise. You didn't gloat, you didn't smile. You simply let the silence breathe, because silence doesn't demand, it exposes. And they couldn't hide inside it anymore. They realized too late that the power they thought they had was borrowed from your willingness to engage. You took that back, and suddenly their empire of words collapsed into rubble. They weren't just speechless, they were powerless. Because when control ends, language becomes useless. Time has a way of turning arrogance into apology without words. They won't say it out loud, but you'll see it in their eyes, the quiet shame of someone who finally understands. They used to believe you would never leave, that your patience meant permanence. But patience was your strategy, not your weakness. You let them reveal themselves fully before walking away. And now, as they look at the wreckage of what they destroyed, they find no words that fit the moment. Apologies can't resurrect trust. Regret doesn't rewrite memory. You don't need to hear them say sorry. Their silence says it for them. Because guilt always speaks, even when the mouth can't. They found nothing left to say because truth had already said everything for you. They expected rage. They wanted it even. Because anger is predictable, it gives them a script to hide behind. If you had shouted, they could have called you emotional. If you had cried, they could have called you weak. But you didn't give them that gift. You gave them silence, and it terrified them. That kind of quiet doesn't need explanation. It holds judgment without words. You didn't need to defend yourself, didn't need to outline the betrayal or repeat the proof. You simply withdrew your presence, your energy, your acknowledgement. The noise they built their confidence on fell apart. They couldn't reason with silence because silence reflects truth. It doesn't negotiate. They tried to provoke you just to feel alive again, but you stayed still. And in that stillness, they heard it. The sound of their own guilt echoing back at them. Nothing haunts a betrayer more than the silence of someone they can no longer reach. You learned that silence is not passivity, it's precision. When someone betrays you, their goal is reaction. They feed on it. They need you to make noise so they can twist it, reframe it, repaint themselves as victims. But when you go silent, you deny them oxygen. You don't validate, you don't explain, you don't justify. You let truth sit there, untouched, heavy. They squirm under its weight because there's nothing to argue with. Silence cannot be contradicted. You took their control by refusing to participate in their narrative. That's why it's devastating, because they built their power on your engagement. The moment you stopped responding, you became unpredictable. They replayed every moment, every word, every act, searching for your reaction, but there was none. And in the absence of reaction, they realized something horrifying. Your silence wasn't confusion, it was awareness. You were no longer trying to be understood. You were watching them collapse under the weight of what they'd done. At first, they took your silence as weakness. They mistook it for surrender because manipulators always misread restraint. They expected chaos. They got composure. They tried to provoke emotion, to spark conflict, to reignite the pattern that made them feel powerful. But you didn't play. You weren't holding back words. You were holding back access. That difference broke them. They couldn't reason with your stillness because reasoning requires permission. You denied them that privilege. You didn't block them out of hate. You outgrew the need to be heard by liars. That's what silence is at its peak. Not avoidance, but evolution. You stopped defending your side of the story because you realized anyone worth your energy already knew it. The rest were irrelevant. Your lack of reaction became your revelation. They wanted the old version of you, the one that explained, pleaded, or forgave. But that version died quietly the moment betrayal became undeniable. Betrayal always expects noise. It thrives on the drama it creates. They wanted an argument to distract from accountability, a storm to hide in, but silence stripped away their shelter. They had nowhere left to hide their lies. You didn't give them the satisfaction of a scene. You let absence speak. And absence is merciless. It reminds them that you don't care enough to perform. That's what makes silence so powerful. It's not emotional, it's surgical. It cuts ties without spectacle. It dismantles their illusions without confrontation. The betrayer begins to panic when they realize your silence doesn't come from confusion but clarity. You saw everything, processed everything, and simply chose not to engage. That terrifies them more than shouting ever could. They can argue with accusations, they can twist words, but they cannot fight a void, and your silence became exactly that. A void where their power used to live. They will try to return, thinking time has softened you. They will knock gently, testing your patience, pretending remorse. But silence doesn't forget, it transforms. It evolves from response withheld to indifference earned. You've seen behind their words before, now you simply refuse to enter the same loop. Silence is not revenge, it's refusal. Refusal to lower yourself, refusal to relive the pain, refusal to teach lessons they'll never learn. They wanted a reaction to confirm they still mattered, but your silence told them they no longer exist in your world. That realization breaks people. Because for manipulators, existence is only validated by control. Once you remove attention, they dissolve. You didn't destroy them, you stopped feeding them. That's the difference between emotional power and spiritual mastery. They wanted to pull you back into chaos. You answered with absence. And that absence became a mirror they couldn't bear to face. They used to think silence was empty. Now they know it's full of meaning, of consequence, of power. You filled the quiet with intention. Every unanswered message, every avoided confrontation, every calm exit, it all spoke louder than any revenge ever could. They finally realized that silence doesn't mean forgiveness, it means finality. You closed the door so quietly that they didn't notice at first, and by the time they did, you were gone. Not physically, but energetically. You no longer responded to their tricks because you had transcended their language. Betrayal taught you a new vocabulary, one written in stillness, timing, and detachment. They can't reason with silence because silence exposes imbalance. It shows who needs who. And when you no longer needed them, they saw their reflection for what it was. Someone small, desperate, dependent on the reaction of the one they thought they broke. The aftermath of betrayal is not a battlefield. It's a stage where silence delivers justice. You don't chase them, don't explain, don't defend. You just vanish from the emotional equation. They begin to chase ghosts of the connection they once controlled. Every unanswered message becomes a question they can't live with. Every ignored attempt to provoke you deepens their guilt. Because silence creates space, and space magnifies reality. You gave them exactly what they gave you, emptiness, but with intention. They now taste what they once served. You moved differently this time, not to prove anything, but to protect your peace. That kind of stillness is what drives betrayers insane. They can't manipulate a wall that doesn't move. They can't outthink someone who doesn't play. And so, your silence becomes their punishment, not out of cruelty, but out of completion. You stop the cycle they thought would last forever. In the quiet aftermath, they replay everything, trying to pinpoint when they lost control. They look for reasons to justify what happened, but nothing fits. Silence leaves no closure to exploit, no drama to manipulate. It leaves only truth, raw and unaltered. They thought they could explain betrayal into forgiveness, but you knew words meant nothing anymore. You had seen their pattern too many times to be fooled again. Your silence became a declaration that you were finished with their world of excuses. That's what devastates them, the simplicity of it. No speech, no anger, just peace. And peace to a guilty mind feels like punishment. They'll call you heartless, cold, detached. But deep down they know it's not cruelty, it's consequence. You gave them nothing because they gave you lies. That symmetry burns quietly, long after the conversation ends. Your silence carries a wisdom that no apology can erase. They thought distance would soften your heart, but it only sharpened your discernment. You began to see how silence is not avoidance, it's mastery. It requires control to say nothing when every emotion demands release. That's power few ever achieve. You didn't go silent to win, you went silent to heal, to preserve what they tried to drain. You let time do what anger never could, reveal who truly holds strength. They can't reason with you anymore, because reasoning requires mutual respect, and betrayal destroyed that foundation. You gave them what they earned nothing, and in that void, they learned the final truth. Betrayal feeds on attention, and silence kills it. You became untouchable not through rage, but through peace. Fire changes everything it touches. And darling, you've been through the flames. When they pushed you into that darkness, they thought they were breaking you. Instead, they were transforming you into something wiser, stronger, more authentic. Each painful moment taught you something valuable. Each betrayal showed you what real loyalty means. Each lie made you appreciate honesty more deeply. Now you're walking out of those flames with clarity in your eyes and wisdom in your heart. Their biggest mistake wasn't hurting you. It was underestimating how much you'd grow from it. Life has a beautiful way of balancing its books. You don't need to seek revenge. The universe handles that part on its own. Your job is simply to become so incredibly whole that they realize exactly what they lost. Success isn't about getting even. It's about getting better. While they stay stuck in their old patterns, you're evolving, growing, becoming someone they can't manipulate anymore. That's not revenge. That's karma working through your healing. Beneath the surface of your healing, something powerful is growing. Not bitterness, not hatred, but understanding so deep it changes everything. You're learning to spot red flags from miles away. You're discovering your own worth isn't up for debate anymore. You're building boundaries that would have protected your younger self. Every lesson they taught you the hard way becomes a tool for building a better future. That's how karma works. It turns their attempts to destroy you into your foundation for growth. Darkness teaches lessons that light never could. While they were busy playing their games, you were learning about human nature. While they were enjoying their temporary power, you were gaining permanent wisdom. Every manipulation they tried became a lesson in authenticity. Every betrayal they planned became a masterclass in self-trust. Now you're not just surviving, you're thriving with a kind of awareness they can't comprehend. They taught you exactly what you needed to know to never be fooled again. Between the person they tried to break and the soul you've become, there's a story of transformation that serves others. You're not seeking payback. You're becoming living proof that pain can lead to growth. Every step forward is a testament to resilience. Every genuine smile is evidence that they didn't break your spirit. Every healthy boundary is a sign that you've learned to protect your peace. They wanted to write your tragedy, but instead, they became a chapter in your victory story. Growth happens quietly, like flowers pushing through concrete. All those tears you cried, they were watering your wisdom. All that silence they mistook for weakness, that was you learning discernment. All those times they thought you were broken, that was you gathering pieces to build something more authentic. Now your garden is blooming, and they get to watch from behind the walls you built to protect your peace. Moving through their chaos changed more than just your path. It transformed your entire perspective. The pain they caused, it became your teacher. The trust they broke, it taught you to trust yourself first. The lies they told, They helped you recognize truth more clearly. Everything they did to try to diminish you has only served to expand your understanding of yourself and others. They didn't create an enemy. They created someone too wise to play their games anymore. Through the fires of their making, you discovered your own light. Not a vengeful flame seeking to burn others, but a beacon showing the way forward. Every time you choose healing over hatred, you win. Every time you pick growth over grievance, you win. Every time you choose peace over payback, you win. The lesson? Their hell was just your classroom, and now you get to graduate with honors they can't comprehend. Yesterday's wounds become tomorrow's wisdom when you focus on healing. All those sleepless nights they caused, you spent them getting to know yourself better. All those tears they made you cry, they cleared your vision to see truth more clearly. All those times they thought they were breaking you, you were actually breaking free from patterns that no longer served you. Now, you're not just surviving. You're showing others how to transform their pain into power. The price they pay isn't something you need to collect. Life handles that part. Your job is to become so magnificently yourself that their presence in your story becomes nothing more than a lesson learned. Every goal you achieve shows the power of resilience. Every healthy relationship you build proves your capacity for growth. Every boundary you set demonstrates your self-respect. They dragged you through hell, thinking it would destroy you. But all they did was show you how strong you really are. Every heartbreak has a hidden purpose. Somewhere beneath the pain, a lesson waits to be learned. That person who betrayed you, they were teaching you to trust your gut. That friend who left when you needed them most, they showed you how to stand alone. That job that crushed your spirit, it pushed you to find your true calling. Life isn't random in its cruelty, it's surgical. Each cut is precise, designed to remove something that's holding you back, or add something you need for your next level. Beneath the surface of your struggles, wisdom grows like seeds in dark soil. The universe isn't punishing you, it's preparing you. Those sleepless nights when anxiety kept you awake, they were actually teaching you to face your fears. The times when loneliness felt unbearable, they were showing you how to enjoy your own company. The moments when everything fell apart, they were making space for something better to be built. Your pain isn't pointless, it's purposeful. Speaking directly to your soul, life sends teachers wearing all kinds of disguises. Sometimes they come as enemies, teaching you strength. Sometimes as losses, teaching you appreciation. Sometimes as failures, teaching you resilience. That toxic relationship didn't just happen to you. It happened for you, showing you exactly what you won't accept in your life anymore. Those hard times weren't just bad luck. They were life's way of upgrading your consciousness. Moving through difficulty changes more than just your circumstances. It expands your entire understanding. Each obstacle is like a new level in the game of life, designed specifically for your growth. That challenge that seems impossible, it's actually life's vote of confidence in your ability to handle more. The problem that keeps repeating, it's showing up because you haven't learned its lesson yet. Pay attention. The test keeps coming back until you pass it. Pain serves as life's classroom, and every experience is a carefully chosen lesson. When you're ready to learn something new, life arranges the perfect teacher. Sometimes it's gentle, a subtle hint, a minor setback, a small disappointment. But if you miss these quiet lessons, life turns up the volume. That earth-shattering crisis, It's just a louder version of what life's been trying to tell you all along. The harder the hit, the more important the lesson. Inside each difficulty, evolution waits like a butterfly in its chrysalis. That breakdown, it's really a breakthrough in disguise. That rock bottom, it's actually your foundation for something greater. The moment when everything seems darkest, that's just before your consciousness makes its next leap. Life isn't happening to you. It's happening for you, crafting experiences that crack open your shell and force your spirit to expand. Between who you were and who you're becoming, life creates the perfect bridge of experiences. Each step, even the painful ones, leads somewhere meaningful. That person who ghosted you, they taught you to value clear communication. That dream that didn't work out, it cleared the path for something better aligned with your growth. That painful ending, it was really just a necessary beginning in disguise. Nothing is wasted when you understand everything is designed for your evolution. Your spirit grows like a tree. Storms make it stronger. Each challenge that comes your way is like weather specifically chosen for your growth. The winds of change that feel like they might break you, they're actually helping your roots grow deeper. The droughts that leave you thirsty, they're teaching you to find water in unexpected places. The floods that threaten to drown you, they're showing you just how much you can handle. Time reveals the purpose behind every wound and every victory. Looking back, you'll see how each hardship was actually a setup for something better. That job loss that felt like the end of the world, it pushed you toward your true purpose. That relationship that shattered your heart, it prepared you for someone who matches your depth. That failure that seemed fatal, it was just life pruning away what wasn't meant for you, making space for what was. Energy flows where attention goes, and these people spend their whole lives focusing on your downfall. While you're busy building, growing, creating something beautiful, they're in dark corners, plotting your failure. But here's what they don't understand. Every negative thought they send your way is like digging a hole under their own feet. The more energy they spend trying to bring you down, the shakier their own foundation becomes. That's just how the universe works. What you put out there always finds its way back home. Brewing poison for others requires keeping it in your own cup first. These folks spending their days wishing you harm, they're actually drinking their own toxic cocktail. Every scheme they plot, every rumor they spread, every bit of negativity they aim at you, it all has to pass through their own system first. While they're focused on your destruction, their own lives are slowly being corrupted by the very darkness they're trying to send your way. It's like trying to spit into the wind. It always comes back to hit your own face. Between their negative thoughts and your positive growth, a gap widens every day. You're planting gardens while they're planning storms. You're building bridges while they're digging trenches. You're growing stronger while they waste their strength on hatred. The irony? Their very attempts to destroy you are actually destroying their own peace, their own joy, their own potential. Every moment they spend plotting against you is a moment they could have spent improving themselves. Beneath the weight of their own negativity, their ground starts to crack. The more they focus on bringing you down, the less attention they pay to their own stability. It's like being so busy throwing rocks at someone else's house that you don't notice your own foundation crumbling. Their obsession with your failure becomes the very thing that guarantees their own. The universe has a funny way of making sure the stones people end up building their own prisons. Moving through life, carrying hatred, is like walking with pockets full of rocks. It only slows you down. These people who pray for your downfall, they're not just carrying rocks, they're building walls around themselves. Every negative thought, every cruel wish, every dark prayer adds another stone to their self-made prison. While you're out there flying free, they're trapped in the cage of their own making, watching you soar with bitter hearts that grow heavier each day. Karma doesn't need directions to find its target. It knows exactly where to go. Those negative thoughts, they're aiming at you. They're like boomerangs thrown by amateurs. They might curve through the air for a while, might even look like they're headed your way. But in the end, they always circle back to where they came from. And when they return, they carry extra weight, the weight of all the darkness they gathered on their journey. Your success becomes their biggest punishment, not because you planned it that way, but because that's how life works. While they're busy cursing your name, you're out there blessing your own life with hard work and positive energy. While they're wasting time hoping you'll fall, you're learning to fly higher. Their negative focus becomes their cage, while your positive path becomes your wings. That's not revenge. That's just the natural order of things. Through the lens of their hatred, they can't see the hole they're digging for themselves. Every minute spent wishing for your failure is a minute lost from their own success. Every ounce of energy directed at your downfall is energy stolen from their own upliftment. They're so busy watching your path that they've completely lost sight of their own. Like archers shooting in the dark, they don't realize they're only hurting themselves. Inside their own minds, a storm brews while you dance in the sunshine. They think they're casting shadows on your path, but really, they're just blocking their own light. Every dark thought they send your way is like a cloud forming over their own heads. Meanwhile, you're out there turning their shade into your shelter, their storms into your water, their darkness into your reason to shine brighter. That's the thing about negative energy. It only has power over those who create it. Everything you do creates ripples that touch shores you'll never see. That small kindness you showed a stranger, it might have stopped them from giving up that day. The harsh words you spoke in anger, they might echo in someone's mind for years. We're all connected by invisible threads, each action pulling on the fabric of everyone else's life. When they hurt you, they weren't just changing your story. They were writing their own future in permanent ink. That's how karma works. Through the countless ways, we're all tied together. Nothing in this world happens in isolation. Every smile, every tear, every choice weaves itself into the bigger picture. Those people who dragged you through pain, they weren't just hurting you, they were setting up dominoes that would eventually fall back on them. Each cruel act, each moment of darkness they created, became part of a pattern bigger than they could see. Like throwing a stone into water, they couldn't control where the ripples would go or what shores they would eventually reach. Life moves in circles, bringing back to us what we send out into the world. The person who helped you when you were down, their kindness lives on in how you treat others now. The ones who tried to break you, their actions shaped how you learned to be stronger, wiser, more compassionate. We're all like banks in a river system. What flows past us today will circle back tomorrow. No action exists alone. Every choice creates echoes that bounce through time. Through the web of human connections, energy travels, like electricity through wires. A mother's love shapes her child, who grows up to influence countless others. A bully's cruelty creates waves of pain that ripple outward, touching lives they'll never know about. But here's the beautiful part. Healing works the same way. When you choose to grow from your pain instead of passing it on, you're not just changing your own story. You're helping to heal a wound in the world's heart. Back and forth across time, our actions dance with each other like partners in an endless waltz. The strength you found in darkness becomes a light for others to follow. The wisdom you gained through pain becomes a lesson that guides strangers you'll never meet. Those who hurt you, they didn't just set your path, they started a chain reaction that will eventually lead back to their own doorstep. That's not revenge. That's just how the universe maintains its balance. Under the surface of everyday life, countless invisible connections shape our paths. Each time someone shows compassion, they strengthen the world's capacity for kindness. Each time someone chooses cruelty, they weaken the foundation they're standing on. We're all architects of each other's lives, building bridges or walls with every interaction. Those who threw you into hell, they were actually constructing their own future prison, brick by bitter brick. Every soul we touch leaves a mark that changes who we become. The teacher who believed in you, the friend who betrayed you, the stranger who showed unexpected kindness, they all become part of your story. And your story becomes part of everyone you meet. Like strands in a giant tapestry, we can't pull one thread without moving all the others. Those who tried to dim your light didn't realize they were just teaching you to shine brighter, creating a beacon that would eventually expose their own darkness. Between the past that shaped us and the future we're creating, every moment holds the power of choice. Each time we decide to be kind, despite being hurt, to grow, despite being broken, to love despite being betrayed, we're not just changing our own path. We're sending waves of healing through the invisible network that connects all lives. The people who dragged you through pain, they didn't realize they were just giving you the power to help heal others who've been where you've been. Moving through time, like water through a river system, our actions carry consequences we can't always see. The hurt people, but healed people heal people. Every time you choose growth over bitterness, forgiveness over revenge, light over darkness, you're not just changing your own future. You're helping to heal the very web of life that connects us all. Those who threw you into flames became unwitting teachers of how to transform pain into power. Life flows like a river, carrying us through experiences we think are random, but actually follow deeper patterns. That person who betrayed you, that job you lost, that opportunity that slipped away, none of it was personal. It was all part of a bigger picture unfolding exactly as it needed to. The universe isn't punishing you or rewarding you. It's just moving through its natural cycles, like waves in an ocean. Your job isn't to fight these waves or question why they came. It's to learn how to surf them. Beneath the surface of everyday events, countless causes create the present moment. Think of it like this. Before a wave hits the shore, it's been traveling across the entire ocean, gathering momentum from winds you'll never see and depths you'll never know. The same is true for everything that happens to you. That painful moment wasn't just about what happened today. It was the result of countless actions and reactions, some set in motion long before you were born. Events that seemed to target you personally are really just the universe balancing its books. When someone hurts you, they're not really the source. They're just the delivery person, bringing you a package that was already on its way. The trick isn't to get mad at the messenger or curse the delivery. It's to understand that this package, however painful, is teaching you something you need to learn. Like a surfer watching the horizon, you need to see these waves coming and prepare to ride them rather than fight them. Time moves in cycles, not straight lines. Good times flow into hard times. Hard times flow into good times. Just like the tide goes in and out. Fighting this natural rhythm is like trying to hold back the ocean. You'll only tire yourself out. Those people who hurt you, they're not really in control either. They're just playing their part in a much bigger story. They believed they were clever. They thought they had set the stage, chosen the rules, and decided the outcome. You let them. You didn't resist the setup, didn't expose your awareness. You played along. Every taunt, every manipulation, every half smile they threw your way was recorded in the quiet corners of your mind. They mistook your stillness for submission. But while they were moving recklessly, you were calculating angles. They were loud, you were focused. They were impulsive, you were deliberate. Every time they tried to draw you into chaos, you let them think they succeeded. But what they didn't realize was that every step forward only led them deeper into your design. The game they started was never yours to lose. It was theirs to finish. And when the final move arrived, you didn't need force, you needed timing. The climax wasn't revenge, it was revelation. You didn't destroy them, you made them witness their own undoing. They thought they were playing with emotion, but you were playing with awareness. Their strategy relied on reaction. Yours relied on silence. You studied the rhythm of their deceit like a musician studies melody. You learned how they flattered before they betrayed, how they provoked before they apologized. You saw their entire pattern before they even realized it was visible, so you adapted. You mirrored calm while dismantling their illusion from the inside. They assumed you were unaware, because you never interrupted their act. But you were never their audience, you were the director. You let them perform their role until the moment came when they exposed themselves completely. And when it happened, you didn't celebrate, you simply watched the truth unfold. That's the beauty of understanding human psychology. You never need to fight chaos when you know it destroys itself. They played for attention. You played for peace. And peace always wins in silence. Every manipulator believes they control the script until they meet someone who understands narrative better. You didn't rush to rewrite the story. They handed you the pen by overestimating themselves. You learned that power doesn't come from aggression, but from control of tempo. You slowed everything down until their impulsiveness became obvious. They wanted speed, you chose precision. They wanted drama, you chose detachment. You didn't just win, you dismantled their rhythm. That's what created the climax. They collapsed trying to maintain performance while you stayed still. You taught them that games played in deceit never end with victory. They end with exposure. When the truth surfaced, they didn't fall loudly, they fell inward. You didn't need applause, only closure. They called you ruthless because you refused to entertain chaos. But you weren't cruel, you were clear. You didn't end the game out of spite. You ended it because you had already mastered it. Their downfall began the moment they underestimated your composure. They expected resistance, expected you to break under pressure. They didn't know patience can be deadlier than power. You didn't meet their manipulation with rage. You met it with reason. You didn't fight for dominance. You watched them exhaust themselves. The climax wasn't born from confrontation. It came from their realization that nothing they said could move you anymore. They had built a strategy based on your emotional engagement, and when it disappeared, so did their control. Silence became their punishment, and self-awareness became your crown. That's when they realized the game they created no longer belonged to them. They had spent so long trying to win, that they forgot what they were even fighting for. And you, standing calm in the aftermath, became everything they feared, a reflection of what mastery looks like when emotion bows to logic. They never expected you to outgrow the game itself. They were playing for ego while you were transforming through endurance. What they thought was manipulation was just your lesson in observation. You didn't retaliate because you understood something they never would. People always expose themselves when you give them time. And you gave them time. You didn't need to set traps. You simply waited for their own behavior to do the work. The climax came not from revenge, but from inevitability. You didn't destroy their plans, their character did. Betrayal always circles back to its source, and arrogance always collapses under its own weight. You just watched quietly, detached yet deeply aware, as the mask they wore began to dissolve. The power of restraint lies in understanding that the universe finishes what ego begins. You simply refused to interfere with justice that was already in motion. They had power only when you cared. The moment you withdrew your emotional investment, their control vanished. They didn't realize they were building a house made of reactions, and when you stopped providing them, the foundation crumbled. That was the moment everything shifted. They started the game, but you turned it into revelation. They sought attention, and you turned it into exposure. They thought silence meant surrender, but silence meant dominance. Every manipulator fears what they can't provoke. You gave them what they couldn't comprehend: indifference. They tried to play mind games with someone who had already studied the mind. Their tactics, once sharp, became dull against your awareness. You were no longer trying to fix, forgive, or justify. You were observing the natural consequences of dishonesty. And when they realized that, it wasn't anger they felt, it was humiliation. They weren't losing to you. They were losing to truth. You saw how they operated long before they made their move. They needed validation disguised as control. They wanted to feel clever by making you doubt your intuition. But betrayal taught you not to flinch. You knew how to observe without absorbing, how to notice without reacting. So while they plotted, you listened. While they performed, you studied. And when it was time, you made one move. The kind that doesn't require words, only execution. You didn't argue, didn't defend. You simply let results speak. They had spent months crafting illusions, and you dismantled them with a single decision: to detach. That was your climax, no shouting, no spectacle, just quiet completion. They wanted chaos. You gave them consequence. You let them discover what happens when manipulation meets someone who cannot be controlled. You didn't win the game. They lost the illusion of control. They tried to rewrite the ending, but silence had already sealed it. You didn't need to justify why you walked away. Your peace was explanation enough. They tried to reach out, not from remorse, but from fear of irrelevance. They could feel the difference in your tone, the calm that comes from detachment. They could hear it in your absence, the sound of someone who no longer plays. They were used to emotional fireworks. Now they were left in darkness. That's the climax no manipulator prepares for. The moment the other player stops playing. You didn't expose them publicly. You didn't humiliate them. You simply let truth make its own noise, and the silence that followed wasn't emptiness. It was victory. The kind that doesn't need validation because it's already absolute. When everything was over, they tried to pretend it didn't affect them. They laughed too loudly, acted unbothered, exaggerated normalcy. But you knew better. You had seen behind that mask before, and you recognized the cracks now widening beneath the surface. The performance had lost its rhythm because you were no longer part of it. You had been the mirror reflecting their illusion, and now, without you, their reflection was gone. That's why they keep mentioning you indirectly, trying to stay relevant in the story they no longer control. You live rent-free in their silence. They can't erase what they learned. The awareness of being outplayed by someone who never bragged, never gloated, never needed to. That's the kind of climax that lingers. It doesn't explode, it echoes. They were used to noise, used to people begging, pleading, explaining, reacting. They built their confidence on chaos because it made them feel powerful. Every raised voice, every emotional spiral gave them proof that they mattered. Then you appeared, collected, unrateable. They tried to pull you into their storm, but you refused to move. Your silence didn't come from fear, it came from mastery. You showed them what composure can do in a world addicted to control. You didn't need to manipulate because you had learned how to manage yourself. They couldn't understand it at first. They mistook your peace for pride. But soon, they realized control loses meaning when it meets someone who no longer reacts. Your composure exposed their addiction to dominance. They needed to feel in charge, but you didn't need to feel anything. That imbalance destroyed them more than confrontation ever could. You became untouchable by doing nothing except staying centered. You didn't have to prove power, you embodied it. Composure became your shield, your strategy, your rebellion. They were loud, but loudness means nothing when met with stillness that doesn't break. You watched their outbursts from a distance, not because you were detached, but because you refused to let them rewrite your energy. They threw insults, made accusations, tried to get a rise out of you. You didn't give it. That was the moment they started losing control. Because those who depend on manipulation can't survive without reaction. You taught them the difference between control and composure. Control dominates others. Composure governs self. You no longer cared about proving innocence, defending worth, or earning understanding. You simply existed in peace, and that alone became power. In a world that glorifies dominance, you became something rarer, disciplined. And discipline terrifies those who only know chaos. They saw what true restraint looks like and mistook it for magic. Your calmness exposed their instability. Every time they tried to provoke you, they ended up revealing more about themselves. Their tactics, once effective, began to sound desperate. They couldn't manipulate someone who wasn't performing for approval anymore. You used to chase closure. Now you gave it to yourself. They felt it. The shift in your tone, the quiet certainty in your eyes. You were no longer explaining your peace, you were living it. They could sense that nothing they did could reach you anymore. That realization broke them in silence, because control only exists when the other side participates. When you stopped reacting, they stopped existing in the role they built for themselves. You didn't even have to expose them, they exposed their own dependence. That's the power of composure. It doesn't confront chaos, it reflects it until the truth becomes undeniable. You became the mirror they couldn't bear to look into anymore. They believed control meant dominance, but they never understood that true power is invisible. You didn't command the room, you recalibrated it. Your presence alone began to shift energy because composure holds a vibration chaos can't touch. You stopped moving with emotion and started moving with intention. They mocked your calm at first, calling it coldness, detachment, arrogance. But deep down they envied it. They wanted your self-control, but not your discipline. They wanted your clarity, but not your solitude. Because composure is built in silence. Where chaos fears to go, you learned to separate noise from necessity. You spoke only when words carried precision. You acted only when action held purpose. They couldn't compete with that, because their confidence came from impulse, not awareness. You showed them that power doesn't roar, it resonates. The louder they got, the smaller they felt beside your quiet certainty. You became proof that stillness, when mastered, commands everything noise cannot. They wanted to dominate your mind, to twist perception until you doubted yourself. But composure turned doubt into data. You didn't collapse under pressure, you studied it. Every insult became a clue, every manipulation became a pattern. They thought silence meant defeat, but it was documentation. You were watching, learning, adjusting. Your calm was not passive, it was preparation. You learned that composure doesn't ignore emotion, it manages it. You let anger cool into clarity, pain harden into purpose, and disappointment sharpen into wisdom. You became your own anchor. They depended on reaction, but you became rhythm itself. They couldn't shake what refused to move. You didn't play defense anymore, you played alignment. That's what separates chaos from mastery. They fought to win arguments, you focused on winning peace. And the cruel irony was that peace is the one thing control can't compete with. Composure became your language when words lost meaning. You learned to speak through presence, through timing, through energy. They couldn't read it because they were fluent only in manipulation. Every sentence they spoke was designed to provoke, to pull you off balance. You didn't take the bait, You let silence translate for you. That silence wasn't absence, it was awareness. It made them uncomfortable because it reminded them of the truth they avoided. People addicted to control despise calm souls because calmness cannot be controlled. They wanted to predict your next move, but you stopped moving to their rhythm. You didn't fight back. You outgrew the fight entirely. You walked differently, stood differently, spoke differently. Every gesture said what words could not, that you no longer played by their rules. And in that stillness, they realized their biggest fear. You weren't under control, you were in command. They didn't know composure could dismantle power so effortlessly. They relied on chaos as their weapon, but you turned detachment into armor. Every attempt they made to provoke you became proof of their own weakness. You no longer looked at them with anger, you looked through them with understanding. That's what unnerved them most. You understood too much. You saw their need for control came from insecurity, not intelligence. You recognized their aggression as fear disguised as dominance. Composure lets you see what ego tries to hide. You no longer fought them. You studied them until they became predictable. And once someone becomes predictable, they lose all leverage. You let them reveal themselves completely before removing your energy altogether. That was your final move, subtle, silent, complete. You didn't destroy their power, you made it irrelevant. You proved that control collapses the moment it meets someone who no longer plays emotional chess. They called your calm strange. They couldn't understand how you could be betrayed, lied to, disrespected, and still remain unshaken. They wanted reaction because reaction meant they still mattered. But you learned that peace doesn't need to prove itself. You didn't suppress emotion. You simply refused to let it dictate behavior. That is what real strength looks like. Feeling everything and still choosing restraint. Your composure was misunderstood as indifference, but it was awareness disguised as quiet. They used to think chaos equaled power. Now they see composure creates it. You don't need to raise your voice when your energy already commands attention. You don't need to prove your point when the truth lives in your demeanor. The calm you carry now is your signature. It tells every manipulator you've met their kind before and that you no longer bleed for lessons already learned. There's a kind of elegance in refusing to participate in dysfunction. You didn't resist their control. You outgrew it. You learned that chaos only wins when you respond emotionally. You stopped feeding it, and it starved. Your composure was the slowest form of justice. Quiet, deliberate, and irreversible. They didn't just lose control, they lost identity. Their confidence was built on reaction, and your peace dismantled it molecule by molecule. That's the danger of composure. It doesn't destroy loudly, it dissolves everything quietly. They will remember the look in your eyes, that stillness that carried both forgiveness and finality. Because composure doesn't come from arrogance. It comes from awakening. You woke up to the truth that control is for those who haven't mastered themselves. You became proof that restraint isn't weakness, it's evolution. And evolution always makes the old game obsolete. You didn't have to expose them. They exposed themselves the moment you stopped reacting. That's the quiet brilliance of composure. It pulls truth out like gravity, slow and inescapable. When you stayed calm, the cracks in their facade began to widen. They tried to keep the mask on, to pretend they still held control. But calmness has a way of disarming deceit. They could feel your energy shift, the kind of stillness that doesn't seek validation or vengeance. You didn't accuse. You observed, you didn't chase truth, you attracted it. Lies can only exist in noise, and you removed the noise completely. Every truth they buried started to rise on its own, pulled up by the pressure of your peace. You didn't fight them for the truth. They fought themselves trying to hide it. Composure doesn't demand honesty. It makes dishonesty collapse under its own weight. And when it did, you didn't say a word. You just watched it fall. They wanted chaos to distract you from their inconsistency. But chaos has no power over someone who has mastered silence. You knew all along that time reveals everything. You didn't need confrontation, just patience. While they were scrambling to protect their lies, you stood still, anchored in awareness. That unshaken energy became unbearable to them. They felt seen, not because you said anything, but because you didn't flinch. That's what composure does. It holds a mirror up to guilt without moving a muscle. It forces people to face themselves in the reflection they once mocked. You didn't drag the truth out of them. It surfaced naturally because lies can't breathe in calm air. They need reaction, heat, friction. You offered none. You let their deception choke itself out. The more still you became, the more their performance unraveled. That's when they realized truth doesn't always arrive with thunder. It often enters quietly, carried by calm. There's a psychological art to composure. People underestimate its impact because it doesn't roar. It radiates. When you remain still in the face of manipulation, your energy becomes a magnet for exposure. Those who lied start to slip, not because you interrogate them, but because they can't hold eye contact with calm. Stillness becomes too heavy for the dishonest to bear. They begin to over-explain, to fill silence with justification, to twist narratives that no one asked for. And you say nothing, because you know the truth always reveals itself when patience refuses to panic. Composure works like gravity. It doesn't chase what belongs to it, it simply draws it closer. You didn't beg for honesty. You created an atmosphere where lies couldn't survive. Their guilt floated to the surface because your peace made their chaos visible. And once truth appears in light that calm, it can never be hidden again. They confused calmness with indifference, but indifference carries no weight. Your composure, however, carried consequence. It made their actions echo louder than your words ever could. They tried to provoke you, to pull emotion from you, to make you break your balance. But you held firm, and that stillness became unbearable because it left them alone with their truth. Most people hide behind reaction. They use others' emotions as a distraction from their own guilt. You didn't give them that escape. They were forced to sit with what they'd done, while you stood silently nearby, unbothered, unmoved, unbroken. That's when their confidence began to decay. They realized they couldn't control the outcome anymore because you no longer participated in their performance. Truth doesn't need force, it only needs space. You gave it space, and it rose like smoke from the fire they started. They wanted you loud. You became untouchable through quiet. You learned something sacred about human nature through that process. Truth reveals itself when calmness refuses to compete. They built their entire strategy on controlling narrative, twisting perception, playing the victim. But composure breaks manipulation because it doesn't engage the story. It watches it. You watch their movements, their tone, their contradictions. You noticed how they smiled too easily after cruelty, how their words never matched their energy. Every small inconsistency became evidence, not through confrontation, but through contrast. Your steadiness became the spotlight that revealed everything false. They didn't understand how they were unraveling so fast when you hadn't done anything. But that's the secret, you didn't need to. You became gravity, and gravity never fights, it simply pulls. Every lie, every act, every secret they buried began to drift upward because your peace refused to cover it. Composure doesn't expose. It invites the truth to expose itself. They said you were emotionless, that you didn't care. But they mistook depth for distance. You cared enough to protect your energy from being poisoned. That's what composure is. Guarded awareness, not apathy. You had seen what reaction does. It feeds manipulation. It validates deceit. So you starved it. You learned that real strength isn't loud, it's contained. You became untouchable, not because you fought, but because you refused to lose yourself again. They couldn't stand that your silence didn't plead or prove. It just existed, powerful and pure. And slowly, truth started showing up without you needing to demand it. People who once doubted you began to notice the pattern. Time started aligning the pieces exactly as you foresaw. That's what composure does. It collaborates with time. Together they reveal what chaos hides. And when truth finally surfaced, everyone could see it clearly. You didn't need to announce victory. It was already written in how calm you stayed. Composure creates discomfort because it removes excuses. They could no longer blame emotion, misunderstanding, or circumstance. The calm you carried forced accountability. They had to sit with their choices, stripped of the noise they once used to justify themselves. That's the silent justice of composure. It doesn't humiliate, it clarifies. You didn't want revenge, you wanted truth. And truth came quietly, as it always does. They started to break under the simplicity of your restraint. You didn't curse them, didn't try to explain, didn't fight for closure. You just stood there, grounded. That stillness made them confront what they'd been avoiding. And when their words finally failed them, when the silence became unbearable, you understood why composure is feared. It doesn't argue, it doesn't warn, it exposes. You don't have to seek truth when you are calm enough for it to find you. They learned that the hard way. Every manipulator fears calm people because calm people see. You can't deceive what doesn't rush to react. You waited long enough for patterns to show themselves. And they did. Every inconsistency, every false smile, every story told twice with a new detail. You didn't accuse, you remembered. You didn't punish, you outlasted. Composure has that effect. It outlasts lies, outlasts performance, outlasts guilt. You stayed grounded while they tangled themselves in their own contradictions. By the time truth surfaced, you didn't need to defend your name. It defended itself. They realized you had been right all along, but too late to undo the damage. That's how composure wins. It doesn't demand correction. It lets exposure arrive naturally. You didn't fight for vindication because you trusted something stronger. Truth gravitates towards stillness. And you were the stillest thing in their world of panic. They'll always remember how your calm felt. Not cold, but impossible to move. It haunted them. It made them feel transparent. Because composure doesn't just reveal truth. It amplifies it. Every lie sounds louder against silence. Every act of deceit becomes clearer when it meets stillness. They couldn't handle it. You were no longer the person they could manipulate with emotion, and that realization stripped their control completely. Life gives everyone a certain number of chances. It's funny how people waste them thinking there will always be more. They treated your forgiveness like a renewable resource, your patience like an endless well they could keep drawing from. One more lie, one more betrayal, one more "I'm sorry" that meant nothing. They got comfortable with your grace, took your presence for granted, assumed you'd always be there to give them another shot. Poor planning on their part, really. They never noticed how each one more chance was wearing away at something vital inside you. Slow deaths happen in silence. Nobody heard the sound of your love dying, one broken promise at a time. They didn't see how each disappointment was like another nail in the coffin of your feelings for them. Maybe they thought your silence meant acceptance. Maybe they mistook your patience for weakness. Or maybe they were just too busy taking you for granted to notice you were slipping away, one untold truth at a time. Either way, they kept playing their games, not realizing the game was about to end. Between the last time you fought for them and the moment you decided to walk away, something shifted. It wasn't dramatic. No lightning struck. No bells rang. Just a quiet moment when your heart finally said, enough. Like a glass that's been filled drop by drop, you reached your limit without any warning signs they could see. That's the thing about last chances. You often don't know it's the last one until it's already happened. They pushed their luck one too many times, played their hand too carelessly, thinking they'd always get another deal. The human heart has limits, even if it takes years to find them. Each broken promise, each betrayal, each moment of disrespect was like another brick in the wall between you and them. They didn't see the wall rising, didn't notice it getting thicker, stronger, higher. They were too busy thinking of their next excuse, their next lie, their next, "it won't happen again." But while they were crafting their stories, you were quietly building your escape route. By the time they realized something was different, you were already gone in all the ways that mattered. Writing someone off isn't always a decision. Sometimes it's just the last page of a story that's been ending for a long time. You didn't wake up one morning planning to cut them out of your life. It happened slowly, then all at once. Like autumn turning to winter, like day fading to night. They kept acting like the sun would never set on their chances with you, right up until darkness fell. And when it did, when that final moment came, they were still standing there with their excuses in hand, wondering what happened to all their tomorrows. Nothing teaches consequences quite like an empty space where someone used to be. They got used to you being there, their safety net, their backup plan, their guaranteed second chance. Now they're learning what it means to lose something they never thought they could lose. Funny how people don't realize what they had until they're staring at where it used to be. They're finally understanding that some things, once broken, can't be fixed with simple sorry and empty promises. Every one day they promised you turned into their last day with you. All those times they said they'd change tomorrow, do better next time, try harder in the future. They were spending their chances like money they thought would never run out. But what they didn't understand was that each broken promise was buying them something they didn't want. Your permanent absence. They invested in their own loss, one disappointment at a time, and now they're living on the returns. Through all their games and manipulations, they forgot one crucial thing. You were watching, learning, growing stronger. While they were busy taking you for granted, you were quietly evolving into someone who didn't need their approval anymore. Someone who could walk away without looking back. They thought they knew all your moves, had you all figured out. They never saw the plot twist coming, the one where you became the author of your own story instead of a character in theirs. Endings don't always announce themselves with dramatic music and closing credits. Sometimes they sneak in through the back door of your heart, quiet as a shadow, certain as sunrise. That last chance they wasted, it didn't come with warning bells or flashing lights. It looked just like all the other chances they'd burned through. But this one was different. This time, when they reached for another opportunity, they found only empty air where your forgiveness used to be. These days, they're probably telling themselves stories about how you'll come back, how this is just another phase, how they'll get one more chance to make things right. Let them. Because while they're busy rewriting history in their minds, you're busy writing your future. One where their chapter is finally, permanently closed. Water falls from your eyes, and they think they've won. They see your tears as weakness, proof that they got under your skin, evidence that they still have power over you. But they don't understand what those tears really mean. Each drop is proof that your heart still works, that you can still feel deeply, that you haven't let this harsh world turn you to stone. Those tears aren't your weakness, they're your strength. They show you've kept something pure in a world that tries to make everything dirty. Late at night, when pain hits hardest and tears flow freely, remember something important. Crying doesn't make you soft, it makes you real. Those tears washing down your face, they're cleaning out the poison they left behind. Every drop is carrying away their lies, their manipulation, their attempts to make you think you're nothing. You're not crying because you're weak. You're crying because you're strong enough to still feel, to still care, to still believe in something better than what they showed you. under the weight of heartbreak. Diamonds form from pressure. Those tears you're trying to hide, they're not washing away your strength. They're watering the seeds of your growth. Like rain cleaning city streets, they wash away the dirt others left behind. But here's the trick. You can let those tears clean you without letting them drown you. You can feel deeply without letting those feelings pull you under. You can keep your heart soft without letting it get stepped on. Some people see a pure heart as a target, thinking they can dump their darkness into your light. They mistake kindness for weakness, empathy for naivety, hope for foolishness. They try to pour their poison into your clean water, thinking they can make you as toxic as them. But here's what makes you different. You can feel their poison without becoming poisonous. You can witness their darkness without losing your light. You can experience their chaos without letting it become your story. Beyond the surface of tears, strength runs deep like underground rivers. Your ability to still cry, to still feel, to still care, that's not your weakness. That's your superpower. In a world where so many people have become hard and cold, you've kept something warm and real alive inside you. But keeping that warmth doesn't mean letting yourself get burned. Keeping that softness doesn't mean letting yourself get crushed. You can be both soft and strong, like water that's gentle enough to nurture flowers, but powerful enough to cut through stone. Standing in the rain of your own emotions, you learn something powerful. Feeling everything doesn't mean you have to accept everything. You can acknowledge pain without letting it move in. You can understand hurt without making it your home. You can witness someone's darkness without letting it dim your light. Those tears you cry, they're not just sadness leaving your body, they're wisdom entering your soul. Each drop teaches you where your boundaries need to be stronger, where your walls need to be higher. Deep in the quiet moments between tears, clarity comes like dawn after darkness. You start to see how your pure heart isn't a weakness to be protected. It's a strength to be preserved. Like a clean river that can carry away dirt without becoming dirty, you can experience others' toxicity without becoming toxic. You can witness their hatred without losing your ability to love. You can see their bitterness without letting it take root in your soil. Your tears chart a map of everything you've survived while keeping your heart intact. Each drop marks a moment when you could have chosen bitterness, but chose growth instead. When you could have picked hatred, but stuck with love. When you could have gone dark, but stayed in the light. That's not weakness. That's the kind of strength most people never find. The strength to stay soft in a hard world, to keep hoping in a cynical age, to maintain purity in a polluted time. Moving through this world with an open heart feels dangerous, like walking through a storm carrying an unprotected flame. People will try to blow it out, thinking your light makes their darkness too visible. They'll try to convince you that feeling deeply is foolish, that caring genuinely is naive, that keeping your heart pure is pointless. But your tears prove them wrong every time, showing that you can feel everything without letting it corrupt you. Experience pain without letting it change your essence. Those drops weren't just sadness falling from your eyes. They were the last chances slipping through their fingers. They thought your pure heart meant you'd always be there, always forgive, always give another chance. Instead, that purity helped you recognize when something was too toxic to keep in your life. Pain has a strange way of becoming comfortable, like an old chair that's bad for your back, but feels like home. When you're in it for so long, it becomes normal. You learn its shape, its weight, It's daily rhythms. But healing? Healing means change. It means moving muscles that have gotten stiff, straightening bones that grew crooked, facing truths you've been hiding from. Sometimes staying wounded feels easier than going through the fire of getting better. At least the wound is familiar. Healing is like walking into the unknown. Doctors know something most people don't. Setting a broken bone hurts more than breaking it. The same is true for broken hearts and broken trust. When something breaks, your body goes into shock, numbing the worst of it. But healing? That's when you feel everything. Every small movement brings fresh pain. Every step toward better reminds you of what went wrong. Every attempt to trust again opens up scars you thought had closed. The wound was just the beginning. The real pain comes in putting yourself back together. Memories hit different during healing. That song you used to love now feels like a punch to the gut. That restaurant you enjoyed now tastes like ashes. Those photos you kept make your hands shake. These aren't just triggers. They're your mind's way of rewiring itself, processing what happened. Each flash of pain is really a lesson being learned, a pattern being broken, a new path being formed. But knowing that doesn't make it hurt any less. Sometimes it makes it hurt more, because now you understand exactly what you're losing. Cleaning out infected wounds stings worse than getting them. Think about it. When you get hurt, there's just that one moment of pain. But cleaning it out, that's minutes, hours, days of deliberately touching the sore spots. That's what healing from betrayal feels like. You have to look at every lie they told, examine every red flag you ignored, face every warning sign you missed. It's like cleaning out a wound with alcohol. Necessary, but horrible. Each truth burns worse than the original lies did. Inside your mind, healing feels like renovation. Tearing down walls, ripping up floors, exposing everything to fresh air and light. The process is messy, loud, and painful. The house you built your life in suddenly feels unlivable. Everything's out of place. Nothing feels right. You keep stumbling over memories you thought you'd dealt with, finding damage in places you thought were fine. Some days you wonder if it would have been better to live with the broken parts than go through this chaos of fixing them. Watching other people live their normal lives while you're healing feels like being underwater. Everything's muffled, distant, moving at a different speed than you. They're laughing, planning futures, falling in love, while you're still learning how to trust your own judgment again. Every step feels heavy. Every decision seems huge. Every interaction takes more energy than it should. Healing isn't just painful. It's exhausting. It's like running a marathon with wounds that haven't closed yet. Through the fog of recovery, simple things become mountains to climb. Getting out of bed, answering texts, smiling at strangers. Tasks that used to be automatic now require conscious effort, like you're learning to walk again after an accident. Your brain remembers how things used to be and rebels against the new normal you're trying to create. It's like your whole system is fighting against the medicine it needs, making the cure feel worse than the disease. Changes rip through your life like a tornado when you're really healing. Friendships end because you can't pretend anymore. Habits die because they remind you of them. Places become off limits because they hold too many memories. The pain isn't just in what happened. It's in watching your whole world reshape itself around their absence. Every change feels like another small death. Another loss to process. Another wound that needs to heal. Between who you were and who you're becoming, there's a wasteland of pain that can't be skipped. You have to walk through it step by step, feeling every rock under your feet, facing every monster that jumps out at you. The person you were when you got hurt can't be the person who heals from it. You have to become someone new, someone stronger, someone wiser, someone who knows better. And that transformation burns like a fever, breaking, like muscles tearing, to grow stronger. They never understood that when they broke your trust, they weren't just creating a wound. They were starting a transformation they couldn't control. This healing, this painful rebirth into someone stronger, it's their last gift to you, though they never meant to give it. Each spike of pain, each difficult change, each moment of growth is leading you further from who you were when they knew you. Think back to all those moments when breathing felt too heavy, when tomorrow seemed impossible, when giving up looked like the only option left. Remember how your hands shook, how your heart felt too broken to beat, how your mind whispered that you couldn't make it through. But here you are, still standing, still breathing, still moving forward. Those moments didn't break you. They built you. Every time you thought, I can't do this, and did it anyway, you were proving to yourself that you're stronger than you thought. Your reflection in the mirror tells a story of survival that most people can't read. They see your smile, your style, the surface you show the world. But you see every battle you've won, every storm you've weathered, every time you picked yourself up when no one else would. That person looking back at you, they're unbeatable. Not because they never fall, but because they always find a way to rise again. Start looking at yourself the way you'd look at someone you're proud of, because that's exactly who you are. The greatest love story isn't found in romance novels. It's written in the way you learn to choose yourself. It's in those moments when you start saying no to things that hurt you, when you stop accepting less than you deserve, when you finally realize that being alone is better than being with people who make you feel lonely. This isn't selfishness, it's self-preservation. Like a flower turning towards sunlight, you're just growing in the direction that helps you bloom. Walking away becomes easier when you're walking toward yourself. All those people who didn't value you, they weren't rejecting you. They were showing they weren't ready for someone of your caliber. It's like having a diamond and trying to trade it for plastic beads. The problem isn't with the diamond, it's with people who don't understand its worth. You're not losing anything when the wrong people leave. You're gaining the space for the right ones to find you. Each step away from toxic connections takes you closer to peace within yourself. Stop trying to convince people to love you right. Stop trying to teach them how to treat you better. Stop trying to prove your worth to those who don't have the capacity to see it. The moment you start treating yourself like someone worthy of love, respect, and loyalty is the moment others start seeing it too. But here's the beautiful part. By then, their opinion won't matter as much anymore. Somewhere between the tears and triumphs, you discover a truth that changes everything. You are complete on your own. Not half waiting for someone to make you whole. Not a rough draft waiting for someone else's edits. You're the full story, the whole picture, the entire masterpiece. Let that sink in. Let it change how you walk, how you talk, how you allow others to treat you. When you truly believe in your own completeness, Watching others walk away feels less like loss and more like cleaning house. Healing yourself creates a glow that makes some people uncomfortable. They're used to your wounds, your self-doubt, your need for their approval. When you start loving yourself, they act like you've changed, and they're right. You have changed. You've grown into someone who knows their value isn't up for debate. Someone who understands that hard to love often means unwilling to accept less than they deserve. Let them be uncomfortable. Their comfort isn't your responsibility anymore. Moving through life with unshakable self-love changes the game entirely. Suddenly, you're not auditioning for roles in other people's lives. You're not trying to convince anyone you're worthy of their time. You're not shrinking yourself to make others feel bigger. Instead, you're standing in your full power, taking up all the space you deserve, letting your light shine without apology. And yes, that light might blind some people. Let them wear sunglasses or look away. Deep within the quiet moments of solitude, a new kind of confidence grows. It's not loud or showy. It doesn't need to be. It's the kind of confidence that comes from knowing you've survived every bad day, every heartbreak, every setback life has thrown at you. It's the peace of understanding that while relationships may end, you'll always have yourself. That's a special kind of love story, the one where you become your own safe harbor, your own best friend, your own biggest supporter. Today, they're learning what happens when someone chooses themselves over empty promises and half-hearted love. They assumed your self-doubt would keep you hanging on, that your fear of being alone would make you settle for less. But they didn't see you falling in love with yourself, didn't notice you becoming whole on your own. Now they're just another lesson in your story of becoming, a reminder that sometimes losing someone forever is the best thing they could do for your growth.